Now, in this class, we're going to look a little more closely at that third term of the primary three, motion. In the second fundamental proposition, motion is actually primary. You really hear more the idea of periodicity, of cyclicity, of the ebb and flow, the pulsation of the universe in the outward and inward movement.
The second assertion is the absolute universality of that law of periodicity, of flux and reflux, ebb and flow, which physical science has observed and recorded in all departments of nature. An alternation such as that of day and night, life and death, sleeping and waking, is a fact so common, so perfectly universal and without exception, that it is easy to comprehend that in it we see one of the absolutely fundamental laws of the universe.
Now, we must have it clear about creation. We tend to think of a creator and a created. This is not the case in the Theosophical philosophy. Both human beings and nature are states for a given time, depending on their state of development, their level of development.
We can see motion as the creative power of the universe in the common everyday activities of our lives. Take the chemical composition H2O, for example. We use it differently and call it different things, water, steam, or ice, depending on its rate of motion. At colder temperatures, its molecular movement is slow, while at hotter temperatures it moves much faster. And yet all three are ultimately the same thing, part of one unity, when viewed from a broader perspective. Here, motion can be seen as a creative power producing seemingly different things. Just the rate of motion makes the difference between water, steam, or ice.
I'd like to just go over with you a few of the kingdoms of nature, the crystal, the plant, the animal, and the human, and just see if we find some evidence that might support this idea. We'll start with the most difficult, crystals. They don't seem to move at all, do they? Well, they don't in one sense, but in another they do, because their molecular structure is in constant motion, isn't it? And the pattern of motion of a quartz crystal is different from the pattern of motion of a crystal of table salt. But then we come to the plant kingdom. Now we can visibly see movement. And we see that plants at least move in two major ways. They put their roots down to get water. It seems to be purposeful, that movement down into the earth, doesn't it? And then the plant moves in the other direction. It moves up to get the light of the sun. Now, if we come to the animal kingdom, there is a tremendous variety of motion, isn't there? All kinds of movements of all kinds of creatures. And now they're much more free, aren't they? The rocks couldn't do much. The plants a little bit more. The animals have a great deal more freedom. Now we come to the human kingdom, and the mind reels at the possibilities.
When I was younger, she'd come to me in dreams.
Music is another obvious example of motion. Indeed, our whole experience of music is motion-based.
Our whole nature, really, is in one sense a vibratory state at all the different levels. And motion all through, inwardly as well as outwardly, has meaning. All conscious motion, I think, has meaning. Even if I reach up to scratch my head, I've done it for a purpose, haven't I? So we can now refer to that idea in the Secret Doctrine, that the universe and all therein is formed by accelerated motion set into activity by the ever-to-be unknown power. And what is that ever-to-be unknown power? It's that first fundamental proposition, that unspeakable reality in which you and I are also rooted. If that's true, you see, we have the possibility, I don't say it's easy, we have the possibility of retreating into that background state that we are, and from there recreating the foreground within us.